Most people think Louis Vuitton bags are expensive until they see what level 5 costs. We are ranking 5 distinct levels of Louis Vuitton, from icons starting around $1,200 all the way to bespoke commissions that rival the price of a luxury car. Each level unlocks rarer materials, deeper craftsmanship, and a hidden world most buyers will never access. Let's start at level 1. Number 1. The world of Louis Vuitton begins with the everyday iconic bags, the Neverfull and the Speedy. These are the bags that flood city streets, instantly recognizable and endlessly photographed. With prices starting around $1,200 and stretching up to $1,800, they set the baseline for Louis Vuitton ownership. Nearly 70% of all LV bags produced each year are either a Neverfull or a Speedy, making them the most accessible entry point into the brand's universe. On resale platforms, these models consistently fetch 30 to 45% above their original price, even after a year of daily use. Social media only amplifies their reach. The average Neverfull unboxing video racks up over 1 million views on TikTok. For many, this is the first taste of luxury, a symbol that signals arrival. But as familiar as these bags are, they are just the first rung on a much steeper ladder. In second place, the hierarchy shifts from coated canvas to the world of premium leathers and boutique exclusives. The Alma, recast in Epi or Torillon leather, signals a dramatic step up in both material and mystique. Here, the familiar monogram gives way to deep-grained hides, each one pressed and finished in Louis Vuitton's Spain-based workshops, factories equipped to handle only the most structured, color-saturated skins. These are not mass-market bags. Annual output of Epi and Torillon models is capped at roughly 150,000 to 180,000 pieces, a fraction of the brand's total production. Each season, a handful of boutique-only colorways, often just 7 or 8 per material, appear in flagship stores and vanish within weeks. Data from Luxury Retail Analytics shows that 90% of these exclusive shades sell out in under 3 weeks, while resale prices spike by as much as 25% almost overnight. The edge paint is dual-layered, the finish is richer, the feel unmistakably elevated. With prices now reaching $2,500, the cost of entry climbs sharply, driven not just by materials, but by a scarcity engineered for those who crave something the crowd cannot buy. This is the level where luxury begins to feel personal, and the chase for boutique exclusivity truly begins. Number 3 reveals a threshold where Louis Vuitton ceases to be simply a luxury accessory and becomes an object of connoisseurship, artisanal signature pieces, and travel heritage icons. At this level, the Capucine's handbag and the high-end Keepall travel duffel stand as emblems of the brand's most storied craftsmanship. The Capucines, named for the street where Louis Vuitton opened his first boutique, is assembled in the historic Asnières atelier, a workshop that produces less than 10% of the brand's total output. Each bag demands 6 to 8 hours of hand finishing, with artisans painting the edges in silk like layers, a process that alone can take up to 6 hours per piece. Every Capucines is stitched at a density of 10 to 12 stitches per centimeter, a detail that transforms the tactile feel and longevity of the bag. The Asnières stamp, heat embossed inside, signals a level of provenance that collectors chase, often paying a premium well above retail. The Keepall, in its most exclusive leather variants, draws a direct line back to the house's trunk-making origins. Here, heritage isn't just a story, it is a measurable part of the price. Retail prices for these pieces start around $2,500 and can exceed $5,000, driven by the hours of hand labor and the atelier's limited capacity. Silk edge painting, gold-plated hardware, and individually inspected seams are not just embellishments, they are the visible markers of a legacy that stretches back over a century. At this stage, the bag is no longer just a purchase, it is an acquisition, with each detail promising the possibility of future collector status and escalating resale value. This is the level where the myth of Louis Vuitton's trunk heritage becomes a living, touchable reality. Number 4 marks the point where Louis Vuitton stops being merely a luxury brand and becomes an engine for manufactured scarcity and investment-grade status. This is the world of collector editions and high-profile collaborations. The Petite Malle, Supreme by Louis Vuitton, Jeff Koons, and the artist runs that send shockwaves through both fashion and auction houses. The Petite Malle, inspired by the house's historic trunks, arrives in numbered editions and limited drops, each one carrying a discreet plaque inside. Proof that you own a piece of the story, not just a bag. Annual production for these pieces falls below 10% of Louis Vuitton's total output, a deliberate cap that fuels their mystique. Retail prices start around $5,000 and can climb to $12,000 for collaboration models. But in the secondary market, these numbers are just the beginning. On platforms like The Real and Vestiaire Collective, Supreme and Jeff Koons editions routinely sell for 2.8 to 4.1 times their original price. A Petite Malle in Python recently fetched $30,000 at Christie's, shattering expectations and setting a new bar for what a modern Louis Vuitton can command. These are not just handbags, they are assets, traded and coveted by a global class of collectors. The collaboration effect is visible in every resale index. The Supreme by Louis Vuitton trunk, for instance, sold at auction for over $12,800, more than 4 times its retail tag. Scarcity here is no accident. It is calculated, with each artist partnership and numbered batch engineered to trigger bidding wars and overnight appreciation. At this level, the bag is a ticket to an insider's club, where ownership means access to a world of art, money, and cultural cachet. The leap from hand-finished luxury to auction-worthy collectibles is sudden, dramatic, and unmistakable, setting the stage for the final, breathtaking ascent into the rarefied air of bespoke exotics. And finally, in first place, the world of Louis Vuitton reaches its most rarefied summit, a realm reserved for apex commissions where the ordinary rules of luxury no longer apply. Here, the bag is no longer a fashion accessory, but an artifact, often priced well above $12,000 and, in some cases, rivaling the sticker of a high-performance sports car. Less than 0.5% of all Louis Vuitton bags ever produced qualify for this level, and every piece is a singular event. Bespoke trunks. Hand-built in the Asnieres atelier, exotic skin one-offs crafted from crocodile or python, and objects with a direct line of provenance to celebrities or royalty. A single custom trunk, once owned by a world-famous musician, shattered expectations at Sotheby's, hammering at $38,500, nearly triple its original price. These are not simply bags, but museum-grade commissions, governed by a labyrinth of legal and financial barriers. Every exotic skin piece, whether capucines in gleaming Nile crocodile or a Petite Malle in rare python, requires a CIT's permit just to cross a border. The paperwork alone can take weeks, and the responsibility falls entirely on the owner, not the brand. Without it, customs officials can seize the bag, and fines can reach $250,000. This is a world where chain of custody is not a marketing slogan, but a legal requirement, documented from the moment the animal hide is sourced to the final hand stitch in France. Ownership at this level comes with insurance policies that treat the bag as a work of art. Annual premiums can reach $5,000 to $8,000, with coverage terms as strict as those for a Monet or a Chagall. Collectors are advised to reappraise their pieces every few years, as market values can double overnight when a celebrity provenance or auction record enters the story. For these clients, the acquisition process is as exclusive as the product itself. Private appointments, security escorts, and sometimes a non-disclosure agreement just to see the atelier's order book. This is the apex of Louis Vuitton's pyramid, a space where craftsmanship, law, and status converge. The volume is vanishingly small, the barriers to entry nearly insurmountable. For most, these bags are rumors, whispered about at auctions, glimpsed in paparazzi photos, or locked away in climate-controlled vaults. But for the select few, Level 5 is the final word in luxury, a tangible symbol of wealth, power, and the kind of exclusivity that money alone cannot always buy. Across all 5 levels, one truth stands out. At Louis Vuitton, luxury is a ladder, and every rung reveals a rarer world where price, artistry, and status escalate beyond imagination. This is not about handbags. It is about access to privilege most will never touch. Which level would you dare to climb?